You're listening to WTIM, your information station. Time now for your expanded local news. The Christian County Fair is nearly here, and the mini project and livestock shows that come with it are now complete. For Christian County 4-H, this year's schedule varies from past editions. Here's a look at their full list of events starting Monday, July 14th through Thursday, July 17th. On Monday, July 14th, they'll be located at the Christian County Extension Office, and at 9 a.m. they'll start with their General Projects show. At 2 p.m. their Rabbit Show, and then their Poultry Show will directly follow the conclusion of the Rabbit Show. On Tuesday, July 15th, at the Christian County Extension Office, all livestock will be weighed in, starting at 6 p.m. On Wednesday, July 16th, at the Christian County Fairgrounds, at 8 a.m. starts their livestock shows, swine, sheep, goat, and beef, with master showmanship just 30 minutes after the livestock show. And then on Thursday, July 17th, the 4-H Foundation auction begins at 6 p.m. at the Christian County Fairgrounds. As always, these events are free and open to the public to attend. For more information, find Christian County 4-H at their Facebook page. The Taylorville Food Pantry will be receiving much-needed donations of non-perishable food and money through the Taylorville Kiwanis Club's third drive-through donation day of 2025. It took place in front of our Taylorville studios on Saturday. Kiwanis members Chuck Martin and Joe Hauser supervised the table and accepted donations. This donation day coincided with the farmers market in town. Joe Hauser says it helped the turnout on the day.
And they've had their morning coffee, and they are leaving the farmers market downtown and coming by and stopping. So far, we've had about $65 in cash donations, and actually, it's a little more than that, probably 75. And about 10 pounds of food, looks like. We appreciate it. Everybody that comes through has a smile on their face and say, we're happy to help the needy in Taylorville.
And as Chuck Martin describes it, it aligns with what he views as the generosity of the people of Taylorville towards those who need it.
Yeah, Reed, that's a good point. Taylorville's a great place to be. It's a great place to grow up in, a great place to live. And I've always been optimistic about the generosity of the people. And I think that they step up at the right times. And it's just a great cause. The food pantry needs our help.
There will be 3 more drive-through donation days this year, and they are scheduled for July 26th and September 13th and 27th. The Taylorville Food Pantry, the Taylorville Kiwanis Club, and the Miller Media Group thank all those who contributed to the drive-through donation day. Chuck Martin and Joe Hauser appeared as a guest on the Retro Request Show on Genuine Country 94.3 WMKR and on the Saturday Request Show on Groovy 97.3 WRAN. The Taylorville Kiwanis Club is part of a global organization of volunteers dedicated to improving the world one child and one community at a time. Weekly meetings are held Tuesdays at noon at the Taylorville Moose Lodge. For information on the club, go to taylorvillekiwanis.com. The University of Illinois Extension Office wants to help you enjoy your fresh produce all year long. They are offering a course on canning at their Christian County location at 1120 North Webster Street. It's set for Tuesday, August 5th from 6 to 8 p.m. It's part of the Extension's efforts to help community members make the most of their food and enjoy it safely. Lisa Peterson is a nutrition and wellness educator with the Extension and will run the course. Attendees will make salsa and be able to take it home with them afterwards.
So we're trying to do it in the season where we know tomatoes are coming up and people have a lot of them. So what do we do with them? So what we're going to do is this is a hands-on practice class. So I love these classes because you're not just going to hear me preach to you about how to can it. You're actually going to do it. So, and we're going to do one of our more advanced recipes. Of course, if you are completely new to it, you are absolutely welcome to come. We will walk you through every single step. We're actually going to be making a peach apple salsa, which is a little bit more unique, and it is a favorite. It's one we do through the National Center for Home Food Preservation, But we'll walk you through absolutely every step. We'll spend the first probably 20 to 30 minutes just kind of talking about the steps, and then you'll get to actually practice doing them. And we'll, again, walk you through everything. You'll get to can it and take a jar home. We'll also have some pre-made, so you do get to taste it. So
Good.
you will get to be sure to taste it. But we'll kind of get into kind of the do's and don'ts of canning salsa.
There are different methods of canning, but the course will focus on bath canning for the hands-on component.
We'll talk a little bit about pressure canning. Some recipes will call for pressure canning. Of course, you always follow whatever the recipe wants you to do, but our main focus will be water bath canning in this class. But again, we'll kind of walk through what things that do have to go in a water bath versus going in a pressure cooker or pressure canner. You gotta be as specific as possible. A cooker should not be used for canning. A canner, that's the thing too, is tomatoes are something called a borderline fruit. So their pH falls between 4.6 and 5.2. What that means is we don't care if you're doing salsa, tomatoes, you have to add acid. So that's a big part of this. And when I say acid, I mean either bottled lemon juice or citric acid or 5% vinegar. Those are your options. So that's one thing. We don't, again, if you're like, well, I'm pressure canning it, you still have to add acid because of that pH of that tomato. And we can't guarantee botulism isn't going to form if you don't have acid in there.
Canning is also relevant when it comes to marinades. They are an important and savory part of cooking meats, and some people even try to make their own.
But there's 3 things that go into these. So you can make your own marinades, and people don't realize that. It's very simple. Making your own is we do 3 parts oil, 1 part acid, and then some type of seasoning. So what each thing does is that acid in there is going to tenderize it. That oil is going to moisturize it. And then that seasoning, whether it's onion powder, garlic powder, any other seasoning you might use. Some people use nutmeg in there. That'll really bring out that flavor profile. So that's where we talk about making your own, so it can reduce that added salt and added sugar in there when you make your own marinades. It also helps reduce something called heterocycline aromatic amine formation, which some of that research has been linked to cancers. So that's kind of that buildup of that char that happens on your meat. This will prevent that because you're creating a barrier between that meat and the flame. So again, marinades are great for that because, again, it helps protect that meat and also keeps it to that good, tender flavor.
To make a good marinade, the choice of oil and acid are key. It is critical to use the correct oil based on the amount and temperature to prevent the meat from burning.
So things like canola oil, that is a pretty high smoke point where it won't go rancid on you, as well as olive oil. I'm not talking about the extra virgin olive oil. That stuff has a pretty low smoke point, and that is the purest form of olive oil. But if you just use normal olive oil, that's another great option, and it's actually got a little bit of a higher smoke point where it won't go rancid on you quite as fast or start extremely smoking on there. And then the acid could be anything you can think of that's liquid, that's acidic. So vinegar is a big one we see people using. Like apple cider vinegar is another one, or a big one. Another one, soy sauce. That one's pretty common we see in marinades. As well as juices. People forget about orange juice and apple juice and pineapple juice. Those are all very acidic. So that's a great addition to your marinade. And like I said, with the seasoning, you can go crazy. You can do onion, garlic, nutmeg, ginger. I tell people you can cheat and do a vinaigrette. Just buy a bottle of it, check the label, see how much salt and added sugars in there. But using like an Italian dressing, that's a very easy marinade.
Those interested in registering for the canning course can do so on extension.illinois.edu. Lisa Peterson appeared as a guest on the WTIM Morning Show. This will conclude the first portion of your expanded local news. It's brought to you by Taylorville Community Credit Union.
This is Will Perkins with Taylorville Community Credit Union. Are you looking for a great CD rate? If you are, TCCU has amazing rates from our 7-month special to our 60-month CD. If you are looking for a great investment, now is the time to put your money to work in a TCCU CD. Our minimum deposit is $1,000. For more information, please contact us at any of our convenient locations in Taylorville, Pana, Hillsborough, Litchfield, or online at tccu.org. Dividends will be compounded monthly. A penalty for early withdrawal may be imposed. Fees could reduce earnings on the account. Member NCUA.
Extreme heat in the summer can pose serious safety risks, sometimes with tragic outcomes. Data from the American Medical Association showed 2,325 deaths in the U.S. from extreme heat in 2023. But what is the threshold for extreme heat? Experts define that classification as 2 to 3 days of constant exposure to temperatures above 90 degrees Fahrenheit with some additional humidity. While spending time in the water can help cool the body, this comes too with its own risks. Some of the most avoidable deaths involve leaving kids and pets in the car, which people are urged never to do. Carl Baker, Assistant Director of the Moultrie County Emergency Management Agency, warns people with newer cars that certain safety features could actually endanger kids that are left behind.
You know, some of these newer cars today that if you get so far away, the car automatically locks. And I was one of those several years ago. I was with my dad and I had broken my foot. So I said, I'll just wait in the car, not go in with you to the Menards. And it was September. But it got hot that day, and he's got one of those cars that when he left, the car locked. I couldn't get the windows down. I couldn't get the door open. I mean, I'm calling his cell phone. This is a 50-year-old guy here trying to figure out how to get out of his car. I was going to rip the window out, but when you've got a child that might have fallen asleep in there, in the newer cars today, some of them alarm you and go check the back seat. But again, do not leave kids in the car. Do not leave it running with, they're in the air conditioning. Do not do that. And think about our furry friends. Put a winter coat on and sit in the car at 90 plus degrees. That car is going to be a lot hotter than 90. Mm-hmm. When it's 90 outside, that car is going to be hotter.
People in heavily urban areas are more prone to extreme heat. While this does not directly affect those in central Illinois, it is relevant in nearby cities such as Chicago and St. Louis when visiting.
When you're in an urban area, let's just take Chicago. I know we're a couple hours from Chicago, but when you're downtown, basically the concrete jungle, there's no air moving. The heat, concrete pavements, asphalt, all that stuff just gets hotter yet. It's just hard to believe that. So when you're in a high degree, 90s plus, downtown Chicago would feel a lot worse than that. Even though it's called the Windy City, there's no wind.
No.
But, and you think about walking your pets, wait till you're early in the morning or early in the evening after it's cooled down. I mean, think about trying to walk across a parking lot with bare feet. I've seen some people do that and they're dancing around and it's you might want to put some shoes on, and even sand gets hot at the beach.
Many people spend time in bodies of water in the summer, and this requires a similar level of vigilance. Data from the CDC shows drowning is the leading cause of death for children aged 1 to 4. Experts say wearing a life jacket can prevent most of these deaths.
I know they may feel uncomfortable and hot. I've been on lakes for over 20-some years. When I'm skiing or jet skiing, those are required to have on there. But when you're sitting on the boat, you think, okay, everything's good. Or if you're sitting on an inner tube floating down, everything's good. But it's the undertows, it's the undercurrents that we don't see that are what get us quickly in trouble. Unfortunately, if anybody saw the news, there was 3 drownings on the Ember River last weekend. Very tragic, very sad. And we just got to be safe around the water. Just some facts thinking about this. As I said, it's the number 1 leading cause of death from 1 to 4-year-olds. It remains the second leading cause of death between 5 and 15-year-olds.
Other tips to preventing deaths in the water include learning to swim, learning other life-saving skills, and installing barriers around bodies of water.
1, learn to swim. That's the first thing. Learn to swim, learn life-saving skills. If we're talking about pools, barriers do work. Some counties don't require pools to be gated. Some counties do. So check with your local counties to see what is required. But and maybe your insurance companies will require to have a gate around it. But barriers do work. Isolating those pools off. Wear life jackets. And probably the easiest thing to do is stay vigilant. Watch. Keep an eye on those kids. Keep an eye on your friends and your family when you're in the water. The other thing is never swim alone. Never swim alone, because if you do get in trouble, there's nobody there to help you.
More information on the Moultrie County Emergency Management Agency is available at moultriecountyil.gov. Carl Baker appeared as a guest on the WTIM morning show. A former meteorologist who is in his second term in Congress is teaming up with a Texas Republican representative to address real weather coverage. Democratic Illinois Congressman Eric Sorensen recently introduced the Rural Weather Monitoring Systems Act. If approved, the bipartisan bill would strengthen weather radar coverage in rural and underserved areas. That could cover areas like parts of Texas, where significant flooding has led to over 120 deaths. The legislation, if approved, would require the Government Accountability Office to evaluate the state of rural weather radar systems. From there, Sorensen says his legislation could lead to recommended actions to improve early detection of severe weather. This will conclude the second portion of your expanded local news, and it's brought to you by CNB Bank and Trust.
Simplify your finances with CNB's small business checking account. Start with just $200, no minimum balance, no monthly fee, and 150 free transactions each cycle. Enjoy digital banking, bill pay, a debit card, and e-statements. Plus, seamless QuickBooks uploads, all included. Keep your business organized, hassle-free, and in control so you can focus on growing, not banking. Visit your local CNB branch or call us today to open your small business checking account. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Before you make a donation to help people affected by the recent floods in Texas or other natural disasters, take the time to see if the plea for help is legitimate. With disasters comes fundraising efforts, and with fundraising efforts comes scam artists, according to the Better Business Bureau. Investigator Don O'Brien says crowdfunding is a popular method of raising money, but it can be risky for those moved to donate. O'Brien reminds social media has made it easier for scammers to get your money. There are many hazards online, but you can find guidance through the Better Business Bureau at its website, www.bbb.org/St. Louis. Moving now to obituaries, which can be found at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com and are brought to you by Sutton Memorial Home.
When it comes to organizing your life, Sutton Memorial Home in Taylorville has some words of advice. Consider pre-planning your funeral. The death of a loved one can be a traumatic event in people's lives, and you can spare your family the burden of planning a funeral when they are grieving. Sutton Memorial Home knows that establishing a pre-arrangement assures that important decisions and your personal selection are made in advance and spares your family an additional burden at their time of loss. Sutton Memorial Home in Taylorville. Caring is what they do best.
At this time, there are no current obituaries to inform you of. Find previous listings at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com. Get details on these and other local news stories at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com or on WTIM. WTIM is your only local news radio.
This is Blaine